Are we on? Oh, I guess we're on, huh? Oh, it must be Sunday again. How did that happen? Hey, everybody. Just setting up. See the little project Zazoo Plazz out in the woods. Sunday, December 10th, 2023. Oh my God, no, that's not it. You know, sometimes I get up at like midnight. You know, it's one of those days. And then it's like the longest day ever. I sort of do like a rolling thing where I'll be up for like 17, 18 hours. And then I'll sleep for 12 and, do the whole thing again. So that's kind of the case where it's, it's like 9 or 10 in the morning and I've already been up, since like 11 the night before or 12. So I am here. It took me a couple tries to get the right tree. I was at my other tree over there behind the school today. And I ended up here because my tripod kept tipping over. Sometimes in the woods, you're out here and there's just, look at this. It's all like branches and kind of stuff, all over the place. You have to find a good spot. So here, the tripod is nice and balanced and it doesn't tip over on me. So I'm good. It's getting a little chilly. I hate it when I'm out the door and people are like, oh, you better go get it done before it rains. Really? I have been out here. For those of you who follow the Zazoo Plazz report, I have been out here. I've been doing this for 3 years. No, almost 4 years. 3.5 years I've been doing this. I've been out here in the snow, the rain, the wind, the heat, the humidity, the bugs, the fall, the leaves, everything. Middle of the night, middle of the day, dawn, sunset. I have probably done one of these reports inside, outside. After a while, it's at least, but no two reports have been exactly the same. And then when I go by the readings, because I'm, I was Catholic, grew up Catholic, so I bounce off of the readings to get energy for the week, energy. And they just left Matthew's gospel, and now we're into Mark's gospel. So it's kind of like, it never gets old, because every one of the gospel writers, there were 4 of them in the Bible, they all have a different take. It's like you go with 3 friends to a concert or something, right? And you see this great show. And then you're coming home in the car later talking about it, and all 4 of you have a different perspective on what happened. One person, is like visual, and they notice everything on the stage. Another person's, audio, sort of hearing oriented. So they talk about the music, what they said, what they heard. Another person is like feeling, how did it feel? How did the audience feel? What was the mood? How did what are the seats like? What do the ticket stubs feel like? It's just, and another person would be smell, like what does it smell like, right? Or maybe one person is they have different professions. One person's like a doctor, and they have sort of a, very scientific way of looking at the world. And another person is a writer, and they're very, creative, and like me. Then you have another person who maybe is I don't know, somebody who, makes things, like a carpenter, and they'd have a different perspective. They'd talk about building things or making things or whatever. And, somebody might have sort of be more prophetic, more like visionary, right? And be more future oriented. One person might be more past oriented. So, and then of the people who are interpreting what they read, no 2 people are alike. All of us interpret things differently, which sometimes leads to problems, which leads me to believe I'm better just doing my own thing, you know? Because in the end, that's what you got, is your own interpretation of events in the world. So, yeah, so I'm out here. We haven't had snow yet. It's kind of mild. Lay of the land, it's pretty bleak. You know, dead leaves. I love it. I like this time of year. It smells nice out here. It's a little windy, a little humid today. But yeah, so we got our tree up. And, you know, every year you lose a few ornaments. It's like you go to take out, you know, those little colored balls that you buy, the kind that you can look in and see yourself. Well, every year you break a few, right? You go to pick them out of the box, and the little hook kind of comes apart from the little ornament, and then you're like, you end up throwing out stuff, you know? So what we do is, my youngest son is, he's finishing up his finals at college next week. So I always, you know, my older son came, he had an orthodontist appointment. He had to get a retainer or something for his teeth. I guess he's going to have to wear it all the time now. These kids had terrible overbites when they were younger. But, you know, so he put a few ornaments on the tree, and I put some, and Gray put some, and then, husband, whatever. Anyway, and then my youngest son, I always leave him a few to put on the tree because he's going to be home next week. He enjoys that. So, you know, kind of out here, I think I looked at 3 apartments last week, and, you know, I'm just ready to throw in the towel and just stay in my house and pay rent and the landlord. Oh man. So long story, but I found another place today. It's a nice condo in the center of town, so maybe I'll go look at that tomorrow. It's supposed to be a good week. It's a new moon in Sag, so that bodes well for me. I mean, all my planets are great right now. It all bodes well for me finding a place to hang my hat. At least for the next year. Then I'll go off somewhere else. But, you know, this week in the readings, it's kind of hopeful. I mean, it's fiery, but it's kind of hopeful. It's you know, I was thinking about Archangel Gabriel this week, the messenger. He was the messenger angel. And, you know, I looked up that asteroid. There's an asteroid Gabriella, which stands for Gabriel, the messenger angel. He's an archangel, one of the top ones. And he's a messenger. So, you know, because I have my Mercury in Sag, I have my Gabriel at 12 degrees of Sagittarius, which fits, because that's in my house of communications, my 3rd house, and Gabriel was the messenger. He's the one who tells Mary that she's going to have a baby, and her cousin Elizabeth that she was going to have John the Baptist, right? So Gabriel is a key angel in this whole scheme of things. So when you hear about the voice, you know, John the Baptist in the desert, prepare the way of the Lord, and all that, you know, Jerusalem, your service is ended. It's, you know, he says how he's humble, right? He's a servant. He says he's not worthy. Like Wayne's over, he's not worthy I always think of this, unfasten the sandals, you know, Jesus' sandals, to one who is to come. So he's out there in his camel hair. I always thought, like, when I was a kid, I had a teenager around 82. I had a camel hair suit in college. It was more like college. There's a picture of me in the Zazoo Plazz book wearing my camel hair suit with a red blouse. It was around Christmas time. I think it was like Christmas of '83, or '82, somewhere around there. And I'm sitting on the organ because, you know, I play Christmas carols on the organ when I was a kid. And so it's that time of year when I always think camel hair, and he's eating his wild honey and his locusts in the desert, and like Survivor, he's out there. But the desert it's a metaphor for there's no life. Everything looks bleak, but he's a voice of hope. He's out there crying, saying, "Prepare the way. Get ready, get ready." It's about to get really good. So it's kind of that, like this time of year, people take all their leaves, right, and stuff, and then they used to, you can't do it anymore, but it used to like burn the leaves, burn stuff. Go to the fire, hang your stockings over the fireplace, right? Get ready. It's that image of fire is purifying. Santa comes down the chimney, right? So, it's perfect because Sag goes into Capricorn. Capricorn is about, the four walls, Saturn, enclosure. Santa comes down the chimney. So now's the time. Santa's looking at you. Judgment. That's Sagittarius, right? It's a different energy altogether. It says, the melt. On the day of God, that God comes again, the elements will melt by fire. Yeah. So make sure you got everything. You got to make sure Mercury's going retrograde next week. You got to dot all your I's and cross your T's, right? If you're doing any kind of business, any kind of communication, right? You got to make sure it's without fault. Because between now and like the beginning of January, Mercury's going to be retrograde. That means, if you sign contracts, if you do anything, it's a time to review things, and the end of the year is that time, reviewing your year, reviewing your life, reviewing what is, and if you've been good, then you get presents. If you haven't, well, prepare yourself, because you're gonna get what you got coming, right? It all kind of makes sense. Prepare the way of the Lord, and then the shepherd imagery comes back in. Shepherd, he's got his flock and the lambs, protecting the lambs and the ewes and the women and the children, and also this notion of time, right? 1,000 years is but one day to God. 1 day is 1,000 years. When you're a kid, like I talked about last week, it seems like forever to get to Christmas. And then when you're playing Santa and you are a grown-up, it's like you think you've got 1,000 years, but it's like a day. Time goes by so quickly because you have so much to do. So that's the time of year it is. When you have preparations to make for Christmas, you've got all these things to take care of, right? There's not enough time in a day. But I've gotten to the point when your kids are in their 20s, and they're out, it's like, I feel like I have all this stuff I should be doing, but I've simplified my life to the point where I know what's important. I've prioritized things, So it's a whole different vibe. But Song of the Week, I guess I was in high school, senior in high school when this came out, or junior, 82. I forgot to note what month it was. But remember, modern English, I melt with you. I melt with you. On top of the world, I melt with you. I've seen some changes, but it's getting better all the time. Remember that? There's nothing you... Okay, I won't sing the whole thing. But that song, I looked it up. Okay, so they started off, it was new wave, right? I guess it got up to number 7, the Billboard, in 83. It was on MTV, and it was in the movie Valley Girl. But I remember, God, when I started college, this song was like, everywhere. 83 in there, 82, 83. They say once it got picked up on the radio in the U.S., it spread like wildfire, right? I'll melt with you, fire, wildfire, melting, right? This song, it was a love song. It was a new wave, but it's not a sappy love song. So it's this couple trying to, be romantic and have a relationship in the middle of the threat of nuclear war at any time, right? That was around the time that we thought there was going to be a nuclear war. It was the day after the movie that came out around 83. So it's seeing the good and bad in people. That's what they said the song was about. That, and here we are in a time that's, it can be kind of bleak. And there's a duality, right? Oh, those people, they're good, they're bad, these people are good, that was a good dance song. It was number 39 on the 100 greatest 80s songs on VH1. But this became a Gen X anthem. This was, at least for us OG Gen Xers, we would dance to the song. It had a certain element of hope to it. Here we were, starting out, graduating college, graduating high school, when this song was coming out, and it had this dark, sort of angsty, vibe to it, right? It was sung kind of a little low-key, kind of mellow, and it's, the future is open wide. I graduated high school to this song. Future is open wide, but, yeah, look, and here we are again, right? This is another time. It's like, I melt with you. So you get this, this imagery of the nuclear war, things melting, right? Just the end of the world kind of thing. That's how it feels. But yet, Christmas is coming, right? So there's always hope. There's the light. Christmas brings in the light. Or, you talk about Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the candles, the light, the oil lamps and all that. It's the time of dark. The darkest time of the year is the solstice, right? And yet, there's always an opportunity for creative expression, for great joy in the midst of pain. Because, if you didn't have the fire, that's also your warmth. It's the Holy Spirit, right? Fire is one of the symbols of the Holy Spirit. Along with water, right? John the Baptist, what did he use? Water. He says, I baptize you with water, and the one to come is going to baptize with, with the Spirit. Right? There's, all these messages. And then, of course, Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, right, was the messenger. So what happened when, at Pentecost, right, the flames, and then the tongues. So that's what Sagittarius deals with. This sense of make sure you're, without blemish. It's this like self-righteous thing. Oh, I'm better than them because I'm higher. And yet, John the Baptist said, I'm not as high. I'm lower than he is. So it's kind of like, setting us up to be, he's raising our expectations, but he's lowering himself to deliver the message. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, modern English. That was a good song. On the day of the Lord, the elements will melt by fire. And yet, the song was like a dance song, right? I remember hearing that song, and it wasn't bleak at all, It seemed to me to be a very, just, hanging out with my roommates, dancing, and, and then it slows down, and it ebbs, and it flows, and it's like, the season. If you ever watch a fire, right? you know, it springs up, right? It's and then it dies down, right? And then you put something in it. Like if you write out your wishes every new moon, right? And what I do at the full moon, you burn the old ones, right? And then you take the ashes and you put them back in like your wealth jar, you know, with all your full moon, you know, you put your full moon things in there. And it's supposed to be good, you know, the ashes. So that's, you know, melting is this image, I get it, like of becoming one, you know, two things that are, you know, different coming together and sort of melding and becoming one. So, you know, it's kind of like getting to that point, you know, the highest spiritual point where everything is one, right? There's nothing separate or distinct. So that's kind of interesting. You can hear some of these songs, and sort of get a higher perspective on them. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot today to talk about because I'm tired. I was going to make meatloaf, but maybe I should make meatloaf. I don't know. But then it takes like an hour to cook, and then I want to make mashed potatoes too. I might just make like frozen fish today. I like frozen fish and sweet potato fries. And then maybe tomorrow I'm going to go look at that condo and see what it's like. But yeah, you know, it's lots of memories coming up, you know, the old kind of Christmases that we used to have, and not even that long ago. But I've been reflecting a lot about, you know, places that I've lived, you know, and I went in a place this week, and I thought, you know, the vibe, the number of the place was, this one place I went to was a one place. And it was like everybody who came out of this building was alone. And it's like that kind of place where, you know, a one building, of course everyone has their individual apartments, you know. So I'm going to give a brief numerology lesson here. The number that's meaningful is the number that's actually on your door. So you can live in a one building, but if you have like a, you know, some other number like 2 on your door, then that's the number that most resonates with the energy inside. See? So the house I've lived in for a while now has a 9, and 9, well, and if you add in the street name, it's an 8. And 8 is all about abundance. It's about, you know, good luck, you know, material luck. 9 is sort of about, you know, spiritual number. It's the end. It's tying up things and sort of being compassionate and being one with everything. And I grew up in an 8 house, which was good. So we always had money coming in. But because of Jupiter ruling, you know, that particular vibration, you know, it also magnifies a lot of things, which to seem bigger than they are, or to make things bigger, like, you know, little things become big things. But overall, it's not a bad. It's the infinite, you know, number. So there isn't really one good number and one bad number. It's kind of like whatever your number is, you figure out if it's a fit for your personal number. So you figure out like the day that you were born and everything, and you know, put it in one of those calculators that they have online. You can just go to like numerology, you know, address calculator, and you can compare. Then they compare and they tell you like what, if it's a good fit. So this place I'm looking at next is a 9, so that should be good. 9 is good for me. 8s and 9s are good happy house numbers. And 3, I think, is another good one. But this one place I went to was a 4. And 4 is kind of like Saturn. 4 is a number where all you want to do is work. So that's not really such a good thing. I was in this place for a little while, and it had like gross, like mustard colored walls, and all I could think of was like, working. And then it was really hot because it had these big funky windows, and you're just standing there and you're getting hot, just burning up by the windows. I'm like, I don't want to live here, And then there were other reasons. There were other reasons that I can't go into without starting some kind of generational war. Let's just say that people were a bit older than me, old enough to have worn bell bottoms in their teens. Anyway, but I won't go there. Anyway, my cousins' ages, nice people, but not my place. They had the washer and dryer. The guy went to great lengths to tell me that the dryer was kind of broken, that it didn't really fluff things. It just kind of dried them, but it didn't fluff them. And the dryer, there was this eave that kind of like stuck out like this. And to get into the dryer that didn't work, you have to kind of, hunch down like this, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and get in there. I'm sorry, life is too short not to have fluffy towels. And I don't want to hunch. I don't even know how do you get the doors open with this big thing? So, it's just, no. Then it had like this little weird, like sewing room that some lady used to use. I don't sew. I don't have any hobbies. This is my hobby. I write. I work out. I walk in the woods, and I talk to myself, and I do my Zazoo reports. And I cook, and I don't sew. So, anyway, and I travel. Anyway, I get a lot of stories. All these places I saw that didn't work out. This one other place I went, it was up in Timbuktu. It was some backwater town up by Yukon, and there were like, it was up a hill, and the people were still in there, and it smelled like cat, and there were cat things all over the place, and just crap, and the people hadn't moved out yet, and it was dark, and I just couldn't see myself there. So, it's like back to the drawing board. It is not, it's like, it's like dating, trying to find another place to, call home. So when you find somebody who's a good fit, you want to meld, it's like Scorpio vibe. I'm a Scorpio, we like to meld with things, become part of things. So this is the perfect song. We like to kind of lose ourselves in a cause, or in a, another person, or in a home, or in anything, We disappear into things, except when we get really mad or scared, and then we can sting you. And that's how you know we're there. Otherwise, we are pretty good at being undetected. But if you run into a Scorpio, you do know, because we can be quite sarcastic. And we notice things. We're the best detectives in the whole world, Scorpio. So, anyway, it seems like this report has gone on for 1,000 years. But I must go. I'm going to take a little walk, blow off some steam. But, yeah, so I have a feeling it's going to be a good week. So go out there and, melt some candy, make some. I saw this guy online today. He was like melting like sugar, and he made, candy canes. So, yeah. So, yeah, meld. See, like Sister Imelda, that I had in middle school. She liked me. She was a good nun. But anyway, go out there and make it a great week. Prepare, and make way. And I'll talk to you next week. Take care.